December 19th, 2025. Please rise for the flag salute and stand for the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, please help us as we deliberate and render our decisions this afternoon. Guide us so that we may make the borough of Ship-Bottom the best it can be for our residents and visitors. Amen.
Amen.
Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate and electronic notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the municipal building, on the borough website, and mailing the same to the Beach Haven Times and the Press of Atlantic City. It was also advertised in the in the Asbury Park Press.
Roll call.
Councilman Hartman.
Here.
Councilman Talon.
Here.
Councilman Valio.
Here.
Councilman English.
Here.
Councilman Buckus.
Here.
Councilwoman Basile.
Here.
Item 5, approval of the minutes. What's your pleasure?
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Hartman.
Yes.
Councilman Talon.
Yes.
Councilman Valio.
Yes.
Councilman English.
Yes.
Councilman Buckus.
Yes.
Councilwoman Basile.
Yes.
Okay. Item 6, council business. Item 1 is fair share housing announcement. Our attorney, sir.
Yeah, Mayor, at this point, as you're aware, but to make the public aware, the borough has been participating in the statutory, the state required fair and share housing program, which is being administered by the Superior Court. Most, if not nearly all municipalities have been participating in this program. This week, the borough has entered into a tentative settlement agreement with Fair Share Housing and with the program. We expect that tentative agreement will be for consideration and discussion and for public comment on December 30th.
Item 2, 2025-178. Authorizing budget transfers.
Mayor, are we ready?
Yes, sorry. I had mixed it down. Yes, I'm sorry. Resolution of the Borough of Ship-Bottom, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, authorizing transfers between budget appropriations.
Mayor, as you're aware, every year between November and December, January, February, and March, the state of New Jersey allows us to do budget transfers between appropriations. This is money that's already been budgeted in our budget. It's just being moved from one department or one line item to another.
Okay. You've heard the explanation. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Hartman.
Yes.
Councilman Talon.
Yes.
Councilman Valio.
Yes.
Councilman English.
Yes.
Councilman Buckus.
Yes.
Councilwoman Basile.
Yes.
Carried. Item 3, 2025-179. Refund of beach badge overpayment.
Resolution of Borough of Ship-Bottom, authorizing the treasurer to refund money for a beach badge overpayment.
What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second. Roll call.
Councilman Hartman.
Yes.
Councilman Talon.
Yes.
Councilman Valio.
Yes.
Councilman English.
Yes.
Councilman Buckus.
Yes.
Councilwoman Basile.
Yes.
Carried. Item 4, the reason that we're all here today, short-term rental discussion.
I thought it was for the budget transfers. I said I thought it was for the budget transfers.
If anybody was here for the budget transfers and would like to leave now.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to apologize that you have to come to a meeting between Christmas and New Year's during this. It's not our style. This was supposed to be done in September. It didn't get in October, and it kind of got lost and then got put in by the end of the year. Like I said, it's not our style. I know that people believe that we did it.
Use the microphone.
Because-
You can't hear your mom.
I know that people believe that we put this out because, so people couldn't get here in the winter.
That's
not true.
That is not the case, but it's indefensible, okay? We get it, and if you get up to speak today, we already know that don't waste any time telling us. We understand the mistake. I guarantee it will never happen again, because it has never happened. Okay, I'll open up this, I called for this meeting to discuss the short-term rental ordinance that we had. I, for one, think that there's some problems with it, and I believe that we have the information to fix those things. Our code enforcer.
Could you speak up, please? We can't hear you.
We can't hear anything back here.
Can't hear a thing.
Our code enforcer, can you hear me?
No.
Get really close.
Can you use the microphones on the table?
They're all attached to things.
Oh, you don't have the cordless one?
The one on the.
Just try this one.
Hello?
I have a technician here. Over here.
Our code enforcer had
On the bottom. Thank you.
Hello? I would just like to say that our code enforcer has done a lot of work on this ordinance, unbiased work. And there was a lot of things that could have went a number of different ways, and I believe that we can fix the things that need to be fixed at a future date, a near future date, like for January to February, and some of the wording, because there's some other things besides the money we need to do. But right now, we are looking at next year's budget with all the number of things that are coming up, and we're going to be in trouble. And we're putting this out to raise
Find another way to get money.
There will be a public comment period. You'll all have your chance to speak at a certain point as required by law, and as also this mayor and council wants you to speak. However, you have to let the mayor and the council speak in order to get the information that you've come here to hear. You will have an opportunity to speak, each and every one of you.
So I called this meeting in order to talk to the council to maybe make a decision to table this ordinance and to move on with a new one, and then come back in January and introduce the workings and other things that we need that deals with short-term and rentals. So this is a discussion before the board, and I would ask if anybody has a comment up here first. Everybody will get to talk in the audience. So is there anything from the council?
Mayor, I agree that it needs to be tweaked and redone. That's my personal opinion.
But I do agree with Bob, and I believe we do need to modify it and definitely move forward in January with our amendments.
Okay, I would ask, if there's no one else, I would ask the council if someone would present a motion so for a resolution is to table this short-term ordinance.
And yes, and just for his clarification, the motion will be essentially and legally to reject the ordinance. It will die. Table or reject, obviously they both are interchangeable, but on top of that, December, at the end of December, we can't carry any ordinances, of course, until January. So the motion would be to reject and kill that ordinance. Yes.
all in front of you. We don't have a resolution from anyone yet, but you have this in front of us. Most of the towns that have done this are doing this because of what's gonna happen next year with the amount of tax money we're gonna have to generate. So this plan is sort of like the plan when I put in the hotel tax. The hotel tax brings in about $340,000 into our ship bottom. It's paid by the people who go into the hotel and stay there, okay? Councilman Buckus had the water department, and still does, and we put that money into the water department. He was able to bring the water department back solvent and got in such a state that he could go out and get a low or no interest loan to put everybody's water meter that had not been put in the town for free, which is probably about $4,500. So that money generated by people who are staying in the hotel, who do not live here, brought our water department back to what it is. And then when he got solvent, he moved that money into our general coffers to help us. So, as you know and probably read, there's other towns looking at this, and some of them have passed it. And so they're trying.
Nobody passes exactly.
Okay. No, that's somebody from the audience. Go ahead.
Once again, if we can, you'll all have an opportunity to speak at when there's public comment period.
Other towns are looking for resources. So the best resource that you can have is like the beach badge. Beach badges are paid by people who go to the beach. But you probably don't know there's people that don't go to the beach and make it known that they don't want tax money to go to the beach because they don't go there. Or people who don't play pickleball and say, I don't want my money spent there. So it's a balancing act for us in our budgets to do the things that we have to get done for the people that want the things done. So if we get this tabled or reject it, we'll then ask for a new ordinance that will just reflect getting the 3% money, and then come back in January for the extra things we need, like for policing and other things to make this work. So if there's no other discussion, is there someone who would make a motion to table this?
I'll make the motion to kill it.
Excuse me. The motion is that we're going to reject the ordinance.
Motion to reject 2025 10-6 short-term rental tax ordinance.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Mayor, many of the letters that were sent to us, I felt like Santa Claus, we got so many letters. But many of the letters that were sent to us requested that this be done. And I honestly think that's a good approach at this time, so I'll second the motion.
We have a first and second, any discussion?
Well, I just want to make a comment that as many people are against it, there are probably a lot, either equal or more, that are for it, that are just not speaking up. That, you know, there are people that are very, very involved in it.
We're not going to talk first today.
Let them stand up. Raise their hand.
Why did you let us talk once?
You will get your chance to talk. Believe me, everyone will get a chance to talk in here who wants to talk. We want to hear what you say, we've heard what you said.
We can all talk at the same time. However, I think that you all probably have plans at 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock tonight. And I'm pretty sure you don't want to be here till then.
Tenant, can I trouble you to advise the members of council what a vote of yes to the motion that was made for a resolution means versus what a vote of no is.
Yes, so under the statutory law, you legally can't approve this ordinance today. However, you can in fact reject it, and you called this meeting today to discuss it and then potentially reject it. There's a motion on the floor. If you vote in favor of the motion, this ordinance is effectively legally void and null. It's dead. And it would have to be reintroduced in its present format or some other various form, or revised form, shortened form, or not at all. It could not be acted upon again until you reintroduce it next calendar year. You can't reintroduce it, you can't reintroduce anything on December 30th, but you can in January or February, or you can elect not to introduce anything going forward. But a vote of yes is that this ordinance is dead.
Roll call.
Okay. Roll call.
Councilman Hartman?
No.
Councilman Talon?
No, I'm not in favor of tabling ordinance 2025-09C, which includes necessary public safety components and ends the subsidy short-term rental units currently enjoyed.
Valio?
No.
Councilman English?
Yes.
Councilman Buckus?
Yes.
Councilwoman Basile?
Yes, with a definite reworking of it in January.
Looks like you're making a
Mayor, do you need tenant to?
Yeah.
Well, right now, it's a 3-3 vote, Mayor. Under this form of government, you would be the tie-breaking vote for a yes or a no.
I vote yes.
Yes.
Mayor?
I'm going to move into the next one. This is the ordinance, and this is where, this is an introduction. Now, normally the introduction is introduced, and then the people get to speak at the next meeting. I know you have questions about some of the things, so you may not get every answer, because this is an introduction, okay? But I'm going to let anybody who wants to speak. And this next is a short-term rental agreement for the 3% only.
And Mayor, if I just provide clarification. So if I can provide a clarification regarding this 3% tax, by law, it is mandatory that it's paid by the purchaser, by the individual or individuals renting the property. It cannot be paid for by any marketplace or any other individual. The person that's renting the property has to pay the tax. Not the owner, not the marketplace, the person that's renting it. The best way to explain this is all hotels and motels in this state are required to have the person that's as a guest at the hotel or motel pay a tax. Right? And at this point, the state has decided that it was going to give municipalities the discretion to opt into a 3% tax to treat short-term rentals in the same fashion and manner that hotels and motels are treated. So, number of policy reasons behind that. I'm not going to sit here and explain those because I don't think that's my role. I'm the attorney.
You should explain.
But because of the impact on local services that the short-term rental market has caused, the state apparently has decided to give municipalities this option. Now, the option has been around for a number of years, and there are a number of municipalities in the state that have adopted the 3% short-term rental tax, including Point Pleasant Beach, including Seaside, including Asbury Park, including recently Stone Harbor and others.
Contracts have already been written.
And again, everyone will have the opportunity to speak, give their opinion, ask questions, etc.
Okay, we're going to introduce that, please.
Ordinance 2025-10C, an ordinance entitled Code of the Borough of Ship Bottom, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, 1997, amending Chapter 5.64, which pertains to hotel and motel tax.
Okay, I'll call for a resolution to introduce this ordinance.
I make a motion to introduce.
Second.
We have first and second, roll call.
Councilman Hartman?
Yes.
Councilman Talon?
Yes, a half a loaf is better than none.
Councilman Delia?
Yes.
Councilman English? Councilman Buckus?
Yes.
Councilwoman Basile?
Yes.
Okay, the introduction is there, and that the main part of this will be done on the 30th for the vote as to whether it goes on.
The second reading of the ordinance will be on December 30th, is what the mayor stated.
And it will be on the website tonight, the full ordinance. Okay, so now, let's just say, what this calls for is there's going to be a 3% tax paid by the renter on short-term rentals. It doesn't come from the owner, it doesn't come from some other company or whatever. It's the same as if you went to a hotel LVI or one of the other ones.
Is this for 2027? Commercial or residential?
2027.
Is this for 2027? We already have contracts.
When did it start?
We have contracts.
It has to be passed on the 30th. It doesn't.
Then it would become legally effective if it is in fact adopted. It gets sent to the state from the next first of the month. So, for instance, if it were adopted in February and it were then forwarded to the state in time, March 1st would be the beginning date for a 90-day period. And then after that is 90 days from March 1st, it would become effective.
So you're springing this up on the renters in May?
We have legal
When
contracts.
contracts are signed?
Now, when we're talking about contracts and everything else, perhaps I can clarify further regarding this tax as well. It only applies to transient marketplaces. In other words, VRBO, Airbnb, any entity that goes online to advertise for short-term rentals is subject to this tax.
VRLBI is not.
VRLBI, under the definition that I see in the statute, is exactly like VRBO and Airbnb, then it would be subject to it. Yes. Realtor Facebook is not subject to it. Realtors are also exempt from it. Right. I think the council and the mayor established that they're very happy to receive any criticism, any discussion, any comments, any questions in response to it. Obviously, for practical reasons, it's very hard to have a conversation with 82 people at once. As a result, once again, and this is the introduction portion of this ordinance, there's also a second bite of the apple to come back on the 30th to have a discussion, all of your comments, and so on. But you're also going to get the opportunity today, but one at a time, not 83 people en masse at once.
I'm entertaining a motion to open to the public.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The public portion is now open. I'm going to start on this side of the room. Raise your hand and you'll be recognized, okay? Ma'am.
Yes, so please come to the front, state your name and address into the microphone so we can record it. Thank you.
Sure. I'm representing my daughter who lives on West 24th Street. Excuse me, East 24th Street. My name is Diane Barbieri. I'm from Surf City. I'm concerned that you are starting this and you're going to be snowballing it through the island. But my question is, and my daughter asked me to ask this question, if you knew that there was going to be shortfalls and you were going to have financial issues in 2026, and you went ahead with this incredible improvement of your municipal building and all the monies that have come into this, and now you want to drain the pockets of the people that live here in Ship Bottom. And I think that's what everyone is here worried about that. And 3%, you're treating everybody as though we're a commercial property, that we're hotels. And they're not. These are private individuals that are trying to have a house here, be able to afford a house here with the prices of houses. And the only way to offset that for many people, including my daughter, is so that she can rent it so that they can come here and spend time in the summer.
We agree with that, but it's not, the money's not coming from her, it's coming from the renter.
But then people are not going to, excuse me, people are not going to want to rent in Ship Bottom when they can come to Surf City and rent there and not have that little fee put on top of their. Rents are escalating as it is because of the cost of the homeowners here. What's going to happen? That 3% adding on, people are going to look and go, oh gee, I could go to the next town over, get parking there, go to the beautiful beaches in Surf City, and not rent in Ship Bottom anymore. And that's what my daughter is afraid of.
That has not been the history as to where this You can't look at Los Angeles, okay, compare it
I'm talking about a couple blocks over in Surf City, which, you know, we have this beautiful beaches too, and we have rentals there too. And people are going to look at money as a bottom line, and at that bottom line, they're going to say, wow, I have to pay more taxes, more fees? No way, I'm going to go to another town.
You know,
I just feel that the money said, I'm looking at it from a neighboring town. You built this incredible building here for $14 million or whatever it costs, and I'm thinking that it wasn't thought through enough to realize that somebody's going to pay for all of this. And you're going in. We have our little municipal building that's taking care of the same size area. Okay, thank you. I hope I said enough. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
There's a microphone right here if you want to.
My name is Kevin Thomas. I own Zachariah Realty, which trades as Berkshire Hathaway Satchel Realtors. One of our buildings is here in Ship Bottom, 11th and the Boulevard. My comment with regard to the proposed redrafting of the ordinance is just this, that you, as a body, or designate somebody to have several realtors, several owners, and several of what are referred to in the ordinance as responsible parties sit in to give you information, because I mean no disrespect in saying this, but the ordinance, the way it's drafted, shows a lack of knowledge regarding how the rental, short-term rentals on Long Beach Island work. Our company is in its 100th year, continuous year, doing real estate on Long Beach Island. We've been involved in this for a long time. I think that you guys could, you know, with input, you could see some of the problems that exist that would have to come out in order for the ordinance to be workable. That's number one. Number two is simply trying to make realtors, owners, and responsible parties essentially police to police the tenants in properties is kind of unworkable. And it's unworkable because the tenants will tell you to take a hike, especially the type of tenants that cause problems that impact adversely on the quality of life of your citizens. I understand what you're trying to do, and it's a laudable thing to do. But trying to get those people to do it, because they don't be saying to you, once you rent the property as an owner, as a legal matter, you got no say. They own the property. Now, if they do illegal things, they get arrested. Summonses are issued to them. But that can't be done by the realtor. Realtors can't write summonses, owners can't write summonses, nor can the so-called responsible party. So I just ask that you kind of keep that in mind when you're talking about making people responsible. And the last thing I say is this. Owners, their name appears on a lease, but owners who rent the properties on only terms as a general proposition don't want tenants to know how to get in touch with them. They don't want them to know their email address, they don't want them to know their telephone number or their home address, wherever it is outside the jurisdiction of Ship Bottom. As long as you have a person that's designated, in the case of a realtor, somebody who's been doing business down here for a long time, that can answer in the manner as you specify in the ordinance, there's no reason for them to get that information to be put on a placard. Because what happens is the owner starts getting calls. They're living in Edison and they're getting calls to come fill the propane tank at a property. It's not workable. So I ask you to take those things into consideration. Thank you for your time.
Sir, can I ask you a question?
Yes. Yes.
You have a rental office?
Yes.
I know you have a real estate, but
Yes. Yes.
what do you charge percentage for your rentals?
Between 10 and 12%.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Business.
I'm going to sit, I can't get down that low. My name is Mike Clark. I'm at 108 East 16th Street. I've never been in the chambers. It's great. You have to fix your clock, so. But I'm not a chronic complainer. I don't rent my house. I'm here year-round. And when I saw this ordinance proposed, it's just wrong. It is not a piece of legislation. You have to sharpen your pencils and find revenue elsewhere if that's what you're looking for. I was shocked by the lack of transparency. Mary, you brought it up that you apologize for that, and I appreciate that. But you can't put a major ordinance out Tuesday before Thanksgiving and then want to vote on it the day before the end of the year. That's just wrong, and I think you all recognize that. One other tremendous concern is, and I'll ask all of you here, have you negotiated, met with, done anything with an artificial intelligence entity where you're going to contract with them to enforce some of this ordinance? Because that was out there.
I don't know, do you want an answer?
I do.
I don't know about enforce, but we're looking into some of the companies that do these things. Yes, we are looking into that.
Okay. I just beseech you. I was a federal agent for 25 years. I'm telling you, understand what artificial intelligence does. And you find me a renter who is willing to come here and give their name, address, social security number out, and it's going to go into a database of an artificial intelligence company, and you're not going to have any renters. So, as a matter of fact, there was one name put out, it's been on all the emails, and if that's the company, I spent 15 minutes looking on the Better Business Bureau, and I saw 5 complaints. So do your homework before you get in bed with any artificial intelligence company. I beseech you. If I were up there, I have no intention of being up there ever, but I would absolutely just put this thing in the trash, start completely over. I think the gentleman before said, get a committee, don't rush it. As far as I'm concerned, this summer's revenue is gone because a lot of these people, have contracts, and get a really good ordinance that there's a lot of input from a lot of different people who are experts, and I'm not that person. But,
sir, we did get rid of it.
Pardon me?
We did get rid of the
You got rid of part of it, not all of it. You still got that 3% sitting out there, and I don't have enough knowledge to talk about. I'm sure a lot of other people will. So, okay, thanks for. I know you're all volunteers, so I appreciate that. And.
My name is Gail Fitzgibbons. I'm at the fishery. I've lived in Ship Bottom for 5 years. I've been on Long Beach Island for 30 years. And I'm telling you that people don't love Ship Bottom. They love LBI. And if we start raising prices, they're going to other towns. I can guarantee that. It seems like you're setting up an us and them, that somehow the renters are the bad people. That's them. And we're better. I hate that, because the renters are the lifeblood of this community. They keep the restaurants open, they keep the shops. You're not buying an LBI t-shirt, guess who is? You're not buying a Ship Bottom hat. So I think to vilify them, which I feel this does, is pretty awful. The cost of living is so high right now. Our electric bills, our gas bills, our taxes. We're really going to add this onto it too? And I also think that you're punishing a section of Ship Bottom, the people that rent their houses. Because I can't afford not to have my house in Ship Bottom without renting it. So you're punishing me because I can't afford that. I think that's wrong. And I just want to, all the other towns that are putting this in, if you check with them, they're pending lawsuits on most of them. Thank you.
That's the name of the game. Okay, thank you.
And please state your name and your address.
My name is Gail Fitzgibbons.
Can you please spell your last name?
Fitzgibbons.
Thank you.
And it's 901 Oceanfront at the fishery.
Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Randy Siner. I'm the owner of Mary Ellen Realty, 2909 Long Beach Boulevard, right here in Ship Bottom. I want to get some clarification. The 3% that you're talking about now, I heard it said that applies to VRBO, Airbnb, third-party portals like that. Is that correct?
Yes, the state only allows it to apply to them. The state did not authorize municipalities to charge that tax for any other type of rental. For instance, if you were owner of the property and you happen to know somebody in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania that wanted to rent your property, the tax would not apply. Likewise, if a real estate agency were to rent the property, as long as the real estate agency doesn't provide any hotel-like services, maid cleaning, food, etc., and according to the statute, and I didn't write the statute, if the keys are provided to the renter at the real estate agent's office, then the licensed real estate agency is exempt from the tax. That's no longer, the tax is not required. It would only apply to online marketplaces, yes.
Okay, so I'm not a part of VRLBI, but I think the difference between VRLBI, which a lot of homeowners in Ship Bottom and throughout LBI use, is VRLBI is strictly advertising. No leases are done there. They don't write leases. They contact the owner directly, and then it's an owner-to-guest transaction. So would the 3% apply there then?
I can read for you the definition of what it would apply to, okay? This is the state definition, which was part of this ordinance verbatim. A marketplace or travel agency through which a person may offer transient accommodations to customers, and through which customers may arrange for occupancies of transient accommodations. Transient space marketplace does not include a marketplace or travel agency that exclusively offers transient accommodations in the state owned by the owner of the marketplace or travel agency. The first part of that sentence, the operative words would be, if the marketplace online offers and arranges. There's no requirement that there be a payment portal. There's no requirement that anything be finalized online.
Well, that's right, and your does not arrange, so we're good. Yeah, that means so we're good.
I would imagine that would be at some point litigated. It is, the language is the language. I know it was the borough's interpretation. Again, sir, if we could wait until you have a turn to speak, I think it's unfair to not only the mayor and council, but also to everybody else here who are using their valuable time, and I'm sure they'd like to be doing something else with their family or for entertainment. In any event, there's a definition. I know what the borough's interpretation is. I'm sure there will be other interpretations, and that's why we have courts.
Sir, can I ask you a question? What do you charge for your rentals? What percentage?
10 to 13%.
Thank you.
Now, again, more clarification on the 3%. It's not going to impact the realtors. It's not going to impact the realtors' websites because all of our properties are advertised there. So, you know, I think it's the people who are going to be concerned are those who use the third-party portals. The 3%, when are you going to institute that? Because, as was said here, and I know myself personally, we've got a lot of signed leases for next year already. So you can't go back and tax it. Well, we're not going to be a part of that anyways, but people who've rented through VRBO and Airbnb or whatever, the third-party portals, are you going to require them to collect that 3% tax on contracts that are already signed?
I think that the borough would seek the guidance from the state on that issue. The question becomes, when is the tax due and payable? If it's under the existing rules and this isn't carved out, it's when the money's paid. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. However, the borough will certainly comply with whatever the state's requirements are on that issue. It could be that it's something that is after the contract, right? So the following year. Or it could be at the time the payment is paid. I don't know off the top of my head, and I don't want to give an incorrect answer.
Okay. All right. And I would just like to finally say, you know, I agree with Kevin, who was up here previously, that, you know, perhaps the council ought to bring in some realtors, bring in some homeowners, and let us help, you know, shape this so it's something that's going to be acceptable to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Patricia Rogan, 104 East 29th Street in Chicago. I am unclear as to, am I responsible to collect this tax now? Am I the tax collector here? So that's going to be my job to collect the tax, to bookkeep and keep all that, and give it over to someone at a later date? Is that my new job? I'm the tax collector here?
In what context? Is it the context that you're on VRBO or another marketplace?
Whatever, collecting this.
It's the entity that's doing it for you.
So on BRLBI?
Yes.
So, but that's done by the owners.
No, under the law, it's done by the marketplace, and it's paid by the person that's renting it or the people that are renting it. And then the marketplace is responsible. Again, you will have an opportunity to speak. You're not going to be missed.
I can clear it all up here. We're going to keep going across the same questions, and I can clear this up in 2 minutes. Do it. Go.
I'm looking forward to you clearing up this legal issue for me in 30 seconds. So, the responsibility is placed upon the online transient marketplace, not on the owner of the property.
But in VRLBI, that's the contract.
I know we keep on talking about VRLBI, and I'm sure that, and I would anticipate if this goes forward, there would be litigation. But regardless of litigation, I can tell you that the borough's position is that VRLBI fits within the definition. And contracts are subject to state law.
Okay, and so back to me. So now that's my responsibility to collect this 3% weekly and deliver it to whomever, so I am effectively now the tax collector in this borough.
Once again, I can only state and restate what the law is. It's on whoever's the online marketplace, if in fact that online marketplace fits within the definition, it's on that company's. That's the obligation of the company to do that, not the owner.
Yeah, we're speaking at cross purposes because that's just not right.
What your contract might say something with VRLBI. I don't know what your contract with VRLBI says. I don't have a copy of it. I've never seen a VRLBI contract.
Okay, and to the other people's point, that is exactly the problem. You don't
No.
understand what
But
you're.
what I'm trying to explain is that contract law will be subject to and subservient to what the state law is. So if you have an existing contract and state law supersedes the provisions relating to responsibility and obligations, the contract doesn't win that race. The state law wins that race. So if your contract would be amended by operation of law to place the responsibility on the marketplace.
And all of this is gonna be all figured out so that we can start tax collection by March 1st. Is that that's what we're being told?
The borough will ensure that when if in fact that this ordinance gets approved, right, because it's not approved at this point, it's only introduced. If in fact it gets approved on December 30th, the borough will ensure that its implementation and its regulation complies with the law, and it will advise the public as such.
Okay, so effectively, I will be tax collector for the borough. Thank
Question right here, now?
Everybody's deferring to me, Mr. Mayor.
Good afternoon. My name is Maureen Marchetta. I live on East 29th Street. It's our summer residence right now. We bought it 35 years ago with the hopes that we would be able to retire here. My husband and I are both in our late 70s, and we're both still working. But buying a duplex meant we could afford to have a house at the shore and come down with our children and now with our grandchildren. And I just worry that it's putting, I've had a lot of trouble sometimes scheduling the fire marshal inspection every year. You know, I know that's not part of here, but sometimes, you know, it's really difficult to get that appointment. And when you talk about having, you're gonna hire somebody, you know, if I read the ordinance correctly, you're gonna hire somebody who's gonna do all the inspections of these units, and how difficult is that gonna be for us to schedule? I just see a lot of things in the present ordinance that, as an owner, and we've never had a police complaint ever about the policing issue. I totally understand. I grew up in Point Pleasant Beach, and believe me, I know what group rentals can do when you live there year-round and you're subjected to that. But that's why we're very careful that we rent to family and friends, people that are not going to abuse the right to be here. We rent to people who we know go out to dinner every night, go to Heartland Cough many times while they're here. We feel that our renters are, and they come back year after year and they love Ship Bottom. But I just feel that this is a new tax. When we bought our house, it was a duplex, and we rented it. We improved the property. Our taxes are about 4 times what they were 36 years ago. And I'm wondering how this is the method to balance the budget by specifically middle-class people who can't really afford a house unless they are able to rent. And that's what I would think.
For the last 30 years, we usually, we do line item budgeting, you know, what they want the Congress to do, okay? We look at every line, and every council person knows what everybody's doing in their committees. There's no secrets. And we crunch the thing all the time. The girls work very hard. Our auditor works really hard at it every year, trying to crunch the numbers. And we usually get in around a penny, okay, a penny of tax raise.
Excuse me, could you just use your microphone, because I know people here are having trouble.
We usually, in the last 20-some years, in the last 20-some years, we usually go about a penny in tax increases a year. I think last year was 2 cents, and it was going to be a lot higher. I believe we cut what, 900,000 out of that to try to get everything done. We foresee, like every other town in New Jersey, big problems next year where If you don't get it from the people who's renting your house, you're gonna get it on your tax bill. We're trying to stop that. We're trying to get that money in.
Except we're a lot of senior citizens also, and here the state is addressing that.
But we're not
with
taking your money.
issues.
We're taking the money from the renters. Excuse me.
Well, thank you for giving me an opportunity.
You brought something up, and let me just say, we're looking at this thing, and a few of us, and what we could do when we thought about self inspections, where you would sign a paper that you inspected your fire extinguishers, your
The fire marshal already does all that when they come in.
Okay, you're right, it does, okay. If we let the county do it, they charge $35. We looked at it, and to hire somebody to do that particular one was more money than, we had to pay somebody more money than we would collect. So I asked the county, how many people in Ship Bottom actually get that done, okay? We identified 342 people who rent homes, and only 255 people participate. That means maybe people out here, right here today, we don't know if they have batteries in their fire detectors. We don't know if they have fire extinguishers. We have no idea for like 85 people.
That's why I've always had it done, but it's at my
I understand
fault
that.
other people aren't
I'm
doing
not
it.
saying you, I'm just saying that we can't even get that done for $35 and from some of the people that are maybe sitting right here in the chairs, so. Well,
Nan, can I
thank you.
ask you a question? Sure. Do you rent through any of the websites or advertise, or you do it just with your friends?
A few
family?
times when we've had, we haven't been able to rent all of it. When we started out, we were able to almost pay our taxes with the rental income. Now we don't reach what our property
Right,
tax is.
you don't use Airbnb?
Once in a while we do,
Okay.
but that's very few of our renters, maybe one or two a year. Because we worry that the danger is, if you're not sure who's coming in, you can't, and even then, we've had families do it, and you have to be careful, but we also make sure there's a family member there. It's a duplex. We have a family member there to supervise, to make sure that nothing is happening. And we've never had a police complaint. So I'm just worried about the implementation of all the language. I'm not a lawyer, I don't understand that, but it seems it should be onerous for the owner if people abuse the,
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes.
James Jorman, Joeriman, residing at 207 Lakeview Court in
Can't hear. Where did you say that again, sir? Sorry.
You gotta go closer to the microphone.
I reside at 207 Lakeview Court in Forked River. Good afternoon, my name is Jim Jorman, and I'm here today representing nearly 10,000 members of the Monmouth Ocean Regional Realtors, known as MORE, and the homeowners they represent, including those here at Ship Bottom. MORE has been designated by the National Association of Realtors as having jurisdiction for all of Ocean County. Therefore, we are also here in representation of the number of realtor members of the Nexus Association of Realtors. MORE has reviewed this projected ordinance, and we believe the ordinance went too far and would have severely damaged the seasonal rental industry, which has supported local tourism, businesses, and tax revenues for many years. While many towns across New Jersey have considered some type of regulations for licensing requirements for short-term rentals, this ordinance, had it been approved, would have went far beyond what was considered across the state. For starters, the fees contained in it, nearly $1,000 for the first year, would negatively impacted Ship Bottom residents who wish to rent their properties, especially when you consider that surrounding LBI municipalities either have significantly lower or no fees at all. Additionally, MORE believes that if the ordinance is reintroduced, and Ship Bottom will become less attractive to summer visitors. The new rules will decrease the number of rental properties available during the summer and increase the price of the remaining rentals due to extra fees included in any such ordinance. For instance, the ordinance that you've rejected says that in a two-family home, one unit must be owner-occupied for the other to be rented out short-term. This requirement not only could, but would, remove homes from the short-term rental market, causing renters to consider other LBI communities and making stays in Ship Bottom much more expensive than others. We also believe the council should keep in mind that with traditional seasonal rentals, it's common for seasonal tenants to sign contracts for that same property a year in advance. Indeed, this is already a reality for the 2026 season. If a property can't get a short-term rental license because of the restrictions in this ordinance or any future ordinance, homeowners and seasonal tenants could face pre-existing contract problems as a result. Should the council decide and wish to revisit this issue next year, we would also raise other alternatives, such as a much simpler and more affordable registration process that could both address the goals of the town while protecting its homeowners, residents, business owners, and the tourism economy. This approach will permit any homeowner in Ship Bottom to offer their home for short-term rental. However, if there are several sustained complaints about a property, a seasonal rental of that property could be disallowed. If the council does proceed with a new ordinance and considers that ordinance in moving forward, Moore would like to raise several specific key points which were contained in the rejected ordinance. One, regarding the section 160C. This section prohibited the placement of a yard sign indicating a property as a short-term rental, a practice which is common in the real estate industry and in some cases necessary for real estate brokers to comply with their contractual obligation from the property owner. Moore believes this section should be stricken or amended if the ordinance is to be reintroduced. To allow signs on a property which are being placed by a licensed real estate brokerage firm and also placed pursuant to NJSA 45:15-1 and others should be permitted. Regarding 160G, this section indicates that a short-term rental property subject to 3 or more civil criminal complaints may have their short-term rental license revoked. Moore believes that a license should only be revoked for sustained complaints, substantiated complaints, meaning those that have been properly adjudicated through the courts as opposed to only a complaint has been lodged in order to ensure due process for homeowners. That does occur. Regarding 160J, it was similar to 160G. This section concerning numbers of vehicles should be amended to reflect that only substantiated complaints can lead to the suspension or revocation of a short-term rental license in order to ensure due process. Regarding section 180C, under this section, as currently worded, a homeowner or their representative only has 2 hours to address a reported violation before a summons is issued. Depending on the possible violation, it may take over 2 hours to reasonably address an issue. Moore believes this section should be amended to specify a list of violations which can be addressed in 2 hours, or amend this section to allow more time to violations that take longer to address.
Excuse me, sir. Could you just put that on the record and give it to our clerk?
I will. I have got one more and I'm ready to close.
We have it already.
This has been amended, but from the letter sent you. And we will get you an amended version. All right. In closing, Moore respectfully and strongly urges the council, as you did, and we appreciate you rejecting this ordinance at this time. Should you re-entertain this issue in the new year, the council should consider a much more streamlined ordinance that can both address the goals of Ship Bottom while also reflecting the importance of short-term rentals to the local economy, businesses, residences, and owners in Ship Bottom. Moore would welcome and appreciate the opportunity to serve in an advisory capacity throughout this process. Thank you for your attention.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dwayne Watlington. I reside in Long Beach Township. I am a Ship Bottom taxpayer. I am a Ship Bottom rental owner, and I am also a Ship Bottom business owner, being the founder of VRLBI. I did not plan on talking about what I'm going to talk about right now today because I thought it was pretty clear the way the state law is written. I feel that I'm a subject matter expert in it because back in 2018, I led a charge, as well as 5 other founders of the New Jersey Shore Rentals Coalition, to get an exemption for direct rentals from the Airbnb tax that was imposed, that your ability to tax this up to 3% statute from the state falls under. Okay, so I've testified 4 times in Trenton at Senate and Assembly hearings. I've also worked with Senator Gopal's staff to write this legislation. I've also worked with the State Department of Taxation to write the guidelines that I'm about to read that VRLBI falls under. And under this statute, there are several different definitions. There are a definition for a transient space marketplace. There's a definition for a transient space, a transient accommodation. There's about 5 of them, and wasn't prepared today to quote everything off my head, but professionally managed unit, and also where VRLBI falls under is one called obtained through a transient space marketplace. Now this one I kind of know almost verbatim because I've had to explain it to hundreds, if not thousands, of vacation rental owners across the state. For those of you that don't know, VRLBI started here on Long Beach Island. Okay, started it with 5 rentals in Ship Bottom to promote because we were frustrated with Verbo. Because Verbo took away our ability to communicate directly with our guests. And a lot of these things you're worried about with people having bad guests come in their units, I can almost guarantee you they're bookings through Verbo and Airbnb. Because any VRLBI owner, like myself, we want to contact and we want to talk to and vet the guests that rent our homes. And doing that, we build relationships and we get year after year repeat renters. That's why VRLBI currently right now is over 80% of the rentals in Ship Bottom are on our website. Okay?
I don't want to interrupt you, my apologies, but I do have that definition for you if you want.
Yep, and I got it right here too. So what I'm looking for is the definition for obtained through a transient space marketplace, because this is what triggers a tax, okay? Because a transient space marketplace is VRLBI. It's also the Sandpaper. It's also the Classifieds Craigslist. It's also Facebook Marketplace. It's any online marketplace that somebody advertises a rental. Basically, that's what the definition says. If you fall under the obtained through a transient space marketplace, let me find it here. And I'm looking at the state guidance, and this is available online. And the state even offers 2 different examples of this. So here it is, quote, obtained through a transient space marketplace means that the payment for the accommodation is made through a means provided by the marketplace or travel agency, either directly or indirectly, regardless of which person or entity receives the payment, and where the contracting of the accommodation is made through the marketplace or travel agency. So let's be very clear. If you ask me today, who rented on VRLBI, I cannot give you that answer to that question because VRLBI does not process any bookings. We do not collect any payment. We do not do any contracting. All we do is put the owner in contact with the guest. That's it. And then they decide whether they're going to rent or not. And that's the success of our business model because the owners love it because they get to talk to the guests before they book them. If you try to book on Verbo, okay, and if you have to accept it. They don't give you any information. They give you the person's first name, and you have to accept it within 24 hours. Now, once you get it and you find out, then they share the person's information. You call them up and talk to this guest, and the guest says, you ask them, what brings you to Ship Bottom that week? Oh, well, it's me and 4 of my college frat brothers. We're graduating from college in May, and we want to come down and blow off steam this summer, okay? That legitimately happens. Now, a rental owner on VRLBI is going to say, you know what, I don't think our place is the right fit for you. You know, thank you for following up. But Verbo, you have to accept that booking. And then once you find that out, then you cancel it, right? You don't want to rent to these people, right? Well, what Verbo does, they charge you their commission, they charge you the 3% credit card processing fees, and they also charge you what the guest would have paid in guest fees, okay? So as an owner, and then on top of that, they'll ding your experience rating, so your listing now, when in their search results, won't be shown at the top. They'll bury it, all right? So, and this doesn't happen here, okay? But I've been at meetings like this in other towns across the state, And I've heard owner after owner, and you're not hearing it here. Mayor, council, we are handcuffed. If we don't accept the people that Verbo and Airbnb give to us, they'll knock us down. We won't be able to rent our house out because they don't have a local option like we do here in BRLBI. I got away from the reason why I came up here, but let me get back to it.
You also got away from the ordinance.
So let me read this is the example. This is the state guidance that the Division of Taxation put out to answer all questions about how this is taxed. And your 3% tax, you can have up to 3% tax. It's in this ordinance. You know, I get it. So basically, there's two examples. Example one. Property owner posts an advertisement to rent out a home on a transient space marketplace called Marketplace A. Marketplace A does not charge the property owner to post the advertisement. Renter rents the home for a week on Marketplace A. Marketplace A collects the renter's payment via a credit card. Marketplace A deducts its commission and provides the remaining payment balance to the property owner. Since this transaction is obtained through the transient space marketplace, Marketplace A is required to collect sales tax and state occupancy fee and any other applicable tax, yours, assessment or fee from the renter and remit the taxes to the Division of Taxation Division. Example two, this is where VRLBI falls. Property owner then decides to also post an advertisement to rent out her home on a different marketplace, Marketplace B. Marketplace B charges the property owner a fixed amount to post the advertisement. The advertisement contains property owner's contact information. In order to rent the home, the renter must contact and pay the property owner directly. Since this transaction was not obtained through a transient space marketplace, Marketplace B is not required to collect and remit applicable taxes from the renter. Property owner is required if you own 3 or more rentals. That's the exception. There's a professionally managed unit definition too. If you own 3 or more rentals in the state, then you have to do it. But the takeaway is, respectfully, sir, BRLBI is exempt. And the case law, what I'm going to use, this tax existed when this was written. Wildwood, North Wildwood, Wildwood Crest. We have a website that serves those markets, and never has any of our owners ever been taxed by that marketplace. Ocean City just passed the bill. Same thing there. They're not going to apply it to our BROCNJ website.
To be clear, the statute, in all likelihood, should have been worded differently by the state, but nevertheless, ultimately, because it says directly or indirectly, but ultimately, the borough is not in charge of collecting this tax.
That's correct.
Right?
The state is.
So, if you don't collect the tax, that's your decision to make based upon your interpretation of whatever the rules are, and the borough has nothing to do with that. That's the state that's going to make a determination. If the state's, if I may finish, if the state's determination that you're exempt, then you're exempt. The borough doesn't have a dog in that fight. The borough is just adopting the state law as it's written. If in fact you are exempt from it, then you're exempt from it.
Well, that's what I'm here to tell you today. BRLBI is exempt, just like our sister websites are exempt in other municipalities in the state that have had this tax for years. So and Beach Haven too. Beach Haven, when this rolls out, January 1st, we are exempt from it because no rentals are obtained through VRLBI. If, like I said, if you were, what mechanism do I have? I don't collect any money from the guest. How can I collect the tax if I don't have a mechanism? The analogy is like using Open Table, right? Use Open Table to book a reservation at a restaurant, but then would you then go to Open Table and say, well, we need you to pay us the tax on what they ate for dinner? I mean, they have no idea. They just help connect the diner with the restaurant. That's all we do. We're a classified advertising website. No different than the Sandpaper, no different than Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, other than we specialize in rentals on Long Beach Island and connecting owners with guests so they can book directly and eliminate a lot of the problems that you guys are worried about happening in this ordinance. I can guarantee you that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, back there. All right.
Greg Fast,
I need your address, Greg. Christy had to step out, and I don't do this regularly.
139 East 14th Street. I'm going to be speaking very briefly on behalf of the Ship Bottom Taxpayer Association and then myself personally. On On December 1st, after thorough discussion, the Ship Bottom Taxpayers Association Board unanimously voted to oppose the passage of this ordinance as it was currently written. That has been out and about. It wasn't because we opposed regulation. It wasn't because we opposed discussion. We felt it was that there was not enough time to properly evaluate the ordinance's reasons for being developed. We definitely did not know why this was being thrown on us, and the impact of these new regulations. That was on December 1st. On the morning of December 2nd, I sent an email to all of the town council and mayor, formally asking that a stakeholder committee be established, comprised of both town council members and Ship Bottom payers. We wanted to work hand in hand, and still want to work hand in hand with the town council. Never got a response back from that. Yeah, I'm not going to repeat a lot of the other stuff that has been brought up. However, now speaking from myself, I felt that it was important that I look into additional information, to obtaining additional information. So, also on December 2nd, I emailed Christy, welcome back, requesting basic financial information related to this ordinance. Nothing complicated, just general financial data. I didn't receive a response until Friday, and when I did, I was told that no documents existed. When I asked for clarification, I was told I needed to file an Oprah request, so I did. For those of you that don't know what Oprah is, because I didn't until I got involved here, Open Public Records Act. On December 14th, I followed up for a status update. The next day, I was told the request would be completed by tomorrow within the 7 business day window. When I checked again on the 17th, now beyond the legal deadline, I was told the attorney still had it and Christy didn't want to make a mistake, which I understand, about what was or wasn't eligible for Oprah. Later that afternoon, I finally received the response. Frankly, I was totally bewildered, and let me be very clear. It was not a response, it was a wall. Every answer was essentially a copy and paste claim of privileged, deliberative process, attorney-client, attorney-work product. Not one of my 10 questions contained a single number. Not one provided a single piece of meaningful information. Not one demonstrated that any financial analysis had ever been done. I've been a CFO for 23 years. I know what financial due diligence looks like. And based on what I received, I'm only left with 2 possibilities. Either 1, no financial analysis exists, or 2, the borough is deliberately withholding it. Both possibilities are alarming. Both are unacceptable. And both raise serious questions about how this ordinance was developed and why transparency has been avoided at every turn. Listening to some of the discussion here as well, I think it's realistic, and I think we should be given the opportunity to know how much revenue is this going to be bringing in. What is the financial impact on it? What if we do hire somebody else in there? What's that going to do on the revenues that we think we're going to get? If all of this stuff is or so many like the VRLBI is not subject to this tax, then what are we getting out of it? And again, I just am asking for transparency, openness. I have been willing to work with people, work with this council, and I believe, look at all the people here. Thank you all for coming. I really mean that. It makes... Just because they're not speaking, their voices are heard here. And people want to be involved. People want to help. People want to do what's right for Ship Bottom. But let me tell you, the way this all unfolded, there was a lot of suspicion, a lot of rumors, and people felt that they were not being kept in the loop, or actually purposely being avoided. And I know I felt that way personally as well. So I'm hoping, the mayor, he spoke with me a couple of times. I appreciate your openness and willingness to listen, to do what's right for the people. You said you've always governed that way. I appreciate seeing that. I think we need more of that. I really do. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, good afternoon. Brian Martin. I'm 270 Tipseman Drive in Tuckerton, New Jersey. Number one, I am a realtor here in Ship Bottom. I work at Remax at Barnegat Bay. And number two is I am also a councilman in Tuckerton. So I have to say, it's interesting to sit on this side instead of that side where you guys are. I've sat in packed house meetings like this, so I know what it is like. I'm glad that you guys did shoot down the ordinance as written. I do want to say that dealing with rentals, and I understand that anything that goes through our agency would be exempt from the 3% tax on it. However, we use VRLBI as a tool. We advertise almost all of our properties. Dwayne makes a lot of money off of us advertising. VRLBI is a great way to get it out. We do all of our contracts. Everything goes through our office, goes through Remax at Barnegat Bay. So I'm a little unclear as to how that would go. If we're exempt, but we're using VRLBI to advertise and put it out, we don't collect any money through there, we don't do anything. I do believe Dwayne is correct, and you're the attorney. I never question Chris Connors at any of our meetings when he says something. When he says that, that's how it goes. But I want to reiterate what a lot of people have said, which is that this really, I do think it needs to be thought out. Sit down, actually talk with some of the real estate agencies, talk with some of the homeowners, talk with Dwayne, talk with everybody that's involved. I will second the opinion of if Ship Bottom does go through and does a 3% tax, and tenants that are coming down here now have to pay a 3% tax to stay here, it does open up them looking into Long Beach Township, looking up into Surf City. I see it on a daily basis when people are looking just at the rates. And a lot of people are moving more towards places like Pihala Park and stuff where it's a little cheaper to rent versus renting here where you have the walkability to everything. The rental prices are out of control. Something's going to give. Throwing another tax on top of it, I understand you're saying it goes towards the tenants, it's not to the homeowners. I hear it every day that LBI is pricing itself out. We still do very well. We still get a lot of people that come here. There's a lot of people, thankfully, that can't afford it. But LBI is pricing itself out. So adding more tax onto that is going to be detrimental. As far as the ordinance that was tabled, I understand the state of New Jersey does require every municipality to keep a log of all of their rental properties. That passed, I think, like 3 years ago. In Tuckerton, we did it. We charge a $100 fee, and that is strictly because the state did not offer any money to the municipalities to hire somebody to actually track this, to log it, to keep the logbook if the state ever comes. Basically covers the cost of our borough administrator, clerk, and stuff to keep everything should the state come down to collect it. We did not look to make money off of it. I did hear one thing mentioned that, with what's coming up in the, fiscal year, that you guys are looking for a way to, increase revenue to the borough so that it doesn't go on to the taxpayer. I commend that. I do that. I'm the finance chair in Tuckerton. I do that all the time. I never want to raise taxes. We've taken the approach of doing some other things, which is penalizing people that don't follow things. So things like our trash and recycling ordinances. We've increased fines for people that, are making a mess or blowing around, and especially for the people that rent in Tuckerton Beach that don't care and leave a mess. you penalize the people that deserve to be penalized versus penalizing the homeowners that are just struggling. And then I just have one final thing, Mr. Mayor. When you started the meeting, you apologized that the ordinance was introduced right before Thanksgiving and then was going to be pushed through on December 30th. And I know the microphone wasn't on, everybody couldn't hear. But one thing that you said was, never again. We'll never again do that. Yet you guys just introduced an ordinance for the 3% sales tax to be done 11 days from now when the state requires a 10-day thing for the ordinance to be out and advertised.
That would, the 30th, we assume that there would be as many or more people here. The only reason is that we couldn't get rid of the 30th meeting, okay? We have to have that meeting, that's our regular meeting.
I understand that.
So,
and with all due respect, you said never again, yet you just gave an 11-day window on an ordinance where state law requires 10 days to do it.
I think that's splitting hairs.
You're trying to push something
The
through.
people were already going to be here, we couldn't stop it, and we just...
So why introduce it in the first place?
Because we're going to be here. We got rid of the other one and we put the tax in so that we would have an indication of how much revenue we might be able to get for next year.
Like I say, sir, with all due respect, that you're pushing something through very last second because it can't carry over to an ordinance. You can't read an ordinance in 2025 and adopt in 2026.
Okay, thank you.
I have a quick question for you.
Of course.
Are you involved with rentals through the whole island?
Yes, the entire island.
Do you know what the vacancy rate this past summer was for rentals?
I don't know the vacancy rate off the top of my head. I know that this last summer, we had more unrented weeks than we've had since prior to COVID.
And you don't know the figure?
I don't know. We have 108 properties, so I don't know what they are across the board.
Thank you.
You're
What is
welcome.
the percentage that you charge for renting?
That's irrelevant.
No.
No, I'm just curious.
People want a little bit too much information.
All right, we can all just, everybody,
Let's have some order here.
Seriously, I'll be more than happy because we do charge one rate across the board. I know I heard the other ones say it's between this and this. We're one rate across the board, but I'm curious as to why that has any bearing on this conversation.
We're talking 3%, and two other realtors are talking 10 to 13. I'm just curious.
That's their living.
Yeah, I'm providing a service. What service is the 3% tax provided?
That's not what I asked you. I asked you.
Yeah, because they're irrelevant to each other. You're talking apples and oranges.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm going to take one more. Let me see hands up. I didn't, okay.
I would just like to ask respectfully that everybody try to, we've been letting everybody go past the 3-minute point, but in order to ensure everybody gets to speak and we're not here until, 8 o'clock, if you could remain within that 3-minute period, that would be beneficial.
This is our town. We are participating. You work for us. We want
You don't have the floor, ma'am. Ma'am, you don't have the floor. You can.
I'm sorry, but I do
Yes,
have
sir.
a right to speak.
Thank you.
Yes, everyone will have the opportunity to speak.
That's not what you said earlier.
Brian Cohen, 513 Central Avenue. I was here to address 2025 9C, and I see that the minutes show 2025 10C. So if I'm talking about things that don't exist anymore, we never saw the latest copy. I've been a local school teacher for 25 years, local real estate agent for 17. Most importantly, full-time resident, taxpayer, and voter in the borough of Ship Bottom for the last 18 years. Due to rising costs of insurances, utilities, island life in general, I started renting my place out about 3 years ago. I love the island and I wouldn't want to move, so I choose to rent my spot out for the summer. I've rented to 62 groups across 3 platforms. I'm proud to say over the last 3 years, as per a recent Oprah request, there have not been one single complaint or violation against my property. Not for trash, not for parking, not for noise, not for anything. Which kind of brings me to the point, as you know, I think a lot of people fall into that category as to why this burden is coming down on us. I was hoping that someone could tell me the percentage of violations pertaining to noise, trash, and parking that came from short-term rentals last summer, and you know, kind of explanation as why this is coming down on us and not the town as a whole. Especially the 3 people that voted to pass it on today. What's the percentage?
You mean percentage or total?
Well, I got the total. I just need to know the percentage of violations that were performed by short-term renters as opposed to all the violations called in town.
How would you, what equation would you use?
I thought you would have it. You're making this ordinance without having that information?
Let me finish, please. You'd have to know how many homes rented and how many violations there were, and how many violations there were to the same home. Because that's what you see. I can't tell you the number, I don't have it. But I can tell you this for sure, and you may know this because you've been around a long time. Certain homes have an occasional violation. Certain homes have none, and certain homes have many. So to do a percentage, there's no way you could actually do that accurate. But we could get you the number of complaints. I believe it'd take a while because you got to go through the
There were 67 this summer, Memorial Day to Labor Day, in pertaining to those 3 issues that I'm talking about. And 26 of them were from 3 residences. It seems like an easy fix to me.
26% or
26 violations.
That's what I'm saying. I think you can get your raw figures. I do not think we can get your percents.
Okay, so I didn't think you had it. I kind of wanted to make light that you're pushing through and putting the burden on a small group of people when you don't even know that that's the problem. You know, that there were an issue. I kind of came here to prove that this was a money grab more than anything else, and I didn't even have to do that. You guys came out and said, we need to make up the money. And I'm wondering why that's falling on us. If 350 renters, you said, pays what we're figuring about an average of $2,000 a month, that's $700,000. 2,400 houses in Ship Bottom, each resident could pay $250 instead of hitting us with this huge burden if you want to balance the budget. So I just don't understand why this is like all coming down. And there's so many things I want to address, and my friends and neighbors have done a great job. But one of the rules says you can't even advertise a property as a short-term rental until you have a license. So every year, 350 people getting you a site plan for parking, getting you an inspection and a license for the most crucial months of January and February, while everyone else is renting out their place in other towns. And then you get last-minute renters, and what are last-minute renters like? Not the most responsible. And, you know, and when someone said, Dwayne, you got off topic. Dwayne got off topic, but he painted an unbelievable picture of what type of renter you're going to have in the town of Ship Bottom if you move in this direction. You know, we get to talk to all the people. I've had 62 renters and no issues. You know, so that's really going to take us off the board for rentals if we can't even advertise our place. And that's going to happen year after year after year, right? Unless you're hiring a lot of inspectors that are going to come in and run through those 350 homes in a hurry. The other thing was tabling this doesn't do as much, because now we're getting closer to the summer and we're going to have more contracts, and we don't know what to charge if we're not paying the tax. That I understand it's a legal issue of if you can tax something that's already been procured, but we're going to have more and more, if we table this to January or February and it gets pushed and goes into effect March, then we're really in trouble, because then, you know, then we got to do this all before the rental season starts. So, you know, I'm not even here requesting a table. I'm requesting, you know, to just shoot it down and completely look for the revenue from elsewhere.
It was rejected.
You know? Yeah.
The motion was to reject it.
As he said, tabled and rejected are one and the same. He used those words early in the meeting. And I'm just disappointed. I've never had to sit here in 18 years, 20 years of being on the island. And it takes a lot for me to get in here and just let you know how unbelievably disappointed this all was. Having to respond in 2 hours, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week about who's in my house. What if I'm traveling? What if I'm offshore? It just shows that you think that we have an agent that's representing us, when there's a lot of blue-collar, middle-class people who just do this because we love the island. This isn't Black Rock and we own 17 houses. You know, so just see the picture, big picture. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. No, excuse me, the fellow behind you was first.
Where that battery
You want to wait 1 minute till he reloads?
Speak up.
Speak up, sir.
Are you going to wait till he reloads the battery?
No, you're okay.
Okay, we're good? Okay. My name is David Jablonski, 100 West Ship Bottom Avenue. I've been coming to LBI since 1975. As a kid, with my parents, my grandparents, going to Ship Bottom and Surf City. Coming here as a young adult, I moved away, came back with young kids, started renting here, and then realized my kids loved it. Why don't I have a house down here? Right? The problem is it's so expensive. So the only way to justify owning a home down here is to have a rental. The kids love it. The kids are getting older in college. The intent is to keep the house and let them have it when I get old. And then they could rent it. This is going the wrong direction by keeping increasing costs to the owners. I mean, it's expensive to live down here to own a home, but we make it work because we're able to rent it. Dwayne said, Dwayne put it great. I understand, great, LVRBI, in my interpretation, will not have to pay the 3%. But if that goes through, then your revenue stream will be shot. Because if you're assuming 3% you will get, if this passes, and VRBI is not within this, whatever the law is, your revenue plan is shot right away. Okay, so I urge the council to think of another way to get an additional revenue stream. The previous gentleman said, the answer was, the question was answered right away. It was to me as well. It's a money issue. It's not a violation issue. I rented 50 plus people families in the last 4 years. One call, and it was from my neighbor, and I asked what was going on. They were a little loud and the lights were in the wrong direction. I called them, we fixed it, the neighbor was happy. They didn't have to call the town. So we're able to deal with our neighbors. I have a lot of neighbors on my street that wanted me to speak on the same points. I've taken a lot of notes, and I know I don't have a lot of time. But if it's a revenue stream, I'd be willing to work with this council, like a lot of other people here, to help figure out another way to get an additional revenue stream to get a balanced budget. It doesn't sound like we're there right now. I mean, we can argue that this building shouldn't be here. It's here, so now we have to pay for it, right? How do we pay for it? We don't pick on the owners that have rental coming in, charging these tenants, which now, if they don't have the additional money, they may not go to go miniature golf. They may not go to the restaurant. It will create issues for the small businesses. They are the ones that are paying for the small businesses to be around. I don't have a small business here, but they're surviving because of all the renters coming here. And if you take money away from them, it's going to hurt them. I've written 6 contracts for next year. I can't go back. I can't charge them more legally. And if we have to get into that, then we'll be probably class action suits against the town. That'll cost a lot of money, right? You guys are going to have to pay for lawyers to fight all of us because we can't break contracts. So I don't know how that would be paid. I was a little upset where I printed out from the website the agenda, and it's different than the one that was printed out. It had nothing. It said nothing about the section here ordinance for introduction, which I guess was just passed to meet on the 30th. 11 days. Gentleman spoke that it's 10 days is the law, which I'm not aware of. I'm an engineer. But 11 days is not enough time for us to read it, and it's still pushing through the 3% that we do not agree with. Island House, I love Ship Bottom. I've been coming to LBI since 1975. I was 5 years old. My kids love coming here. I just hope we can find another way, and it sounds like I took the day off to come down here. But we all did, right? We all took the day. Now we're saying we have to come down here on the 30th to vote on another ordinance that was only introduced today, 11 days. So I guess we'll all be here in 11 days, right? So we'll all be sitting here again having the same discussion. Thank you for your service. I really do appreciate it, because it's a hard thing to run a town, okay? And it's hard to do. I work at a company that does a lot of financials. It's hard to balance the budget. I think this is a wrong way to balance the budget. I think there's another way to do it, and I'd be willing to work with the council. Other people would be willing to work with the council to help you do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a note, I know this building's been taking a beating today, but we don't put things in basketball court, well, we don't have basketball, but pickleball courts and things, and build buildings or spend money in town, and not knowing that we're gonna have money to pay for it. Everything is streamlined. Our last 25 years, 30 years is impeccable as far as our budget goes. Anybody could audit us and tell me if you could do better. Okay? It's so good the Taxpayer Association doesn't even show up at our budget meeting. Okay? So, what we're talking about is not things that we did. It's the state coming up with, excuse me, what, 37%?
36.5%.
Surplus
Pardon?
of $5 million.
36.5% if you're talking about healthcare costs.
Right.
36.5%.
So it's things that are put on us that were never there before. We used to be constant, but now they're not constant. They're huge. So that's what we were looking for. We're looking for ways to pay those things that we don't have control of. The things we have control of, we do a really good job with it.
And we're willing to work with that in other ways to create revenue. That's all it is. How can we help?
Over here, Ms. Weir. Oh, excuse me, ma'am.
Nancy Ulrich, 334 West 11th Street.
Can't hear you, Nancy.
Sorry. I think council, and you could tell me for sure, if you close this session right now and reopened it and tabled and canceled this new ordinance that you just put on and was only giving us 11 days, can you do that? Why can you do that? Can you close the session? Can somebody answer that? Mayor, can you answer that? Can you close the open session and table or cancel the new ordinance that you just put on the books today that only has 11 days to put into?
I guess we could, but we're not going to.
Why not? You would make everybody in this room happy, and they would vote for you again, because you were the deciding voter.
No, because we heard a lot of things today.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Speak up. Hold the microphone. What's supposed to happen is you put it out there and you hear from the public. We've heard a lot of things today. Some things, a lot of things made sense. We will go over those things and there will be a vote on next week. If you made the impact enough that had to be done, that would be done on the 30th.
You're gonna take the stand. You're taking the stand to state.
It's going forward, yes.
It's an easy, simple fix. Just let us review
No,
the
it's not a
ordinance
fix.
before. You're
No.
giving us one that that ordinance is not even put on paper yet. Where is it on paper? That it hasn't been published. So you have 1 day to publish that ordinance. Am I correct? Am I correct? You have 1 day to publish that ordinance. And post it and put it in the newspaper.
The required publication is 7 days in advance of the second reading.
And also, the clerk testified it will be on the website before she goes home tonight.
Okay, so it's gonna be on the website, but it's 7 days, so then you're gonna have a new council. You're gonna have new people up here. Not everybody's here. Tom Talon is not
December
here.
30th is the next reading of that ordinance. That is.
But what I'm saying is if that ordinance is new, and that ordinance was introduced today, and it gets pushed back to January.
It can't be pushed back to
It
January.
can't.
No, it cannot. You cannot carry over an ordinance from one calendar year.
Why can't you just table it today and cancel it out, and you'll make everybody happy, so that we can look at it and have time to look at it? You say you want to be transparent, but we're asking you to be transparent and tell us. Give us time to look at it. Give us time to review it.
That's what we're doing. You're
going to give us 7 days.
Yes.
7 days over Christmas holiday. Okay, so you're giving us 7 days over Christmas holiday. Are the minutes to this meeting going to be done by tonight?
No, they will not, but the video will be posted Monday.
So minutes usually take what? How many days to usually do?
The minutes are approved at the next council meeting typically, but not always.
So people that could not come here have to watch the video in full at one or two sittings whenever you have it posted online, and you think that's transparency?
Absolutely not. Yeah, I think
You think that's transparency? It's a yes or a no?
Ma'am, I'm going to rule you out of order in a minute.
Okay, I'm not a well.
All right, fine. We gave everybody here a chance today to speak, and that's what it's for, okay? Something comes up in the town, it's put out, and then we give the people a chance to speak. Now, I think that, I don't know if somebody wanted to put their hands up before as far as, who we're talking about. I think we've been talking about all people that rent here, I would think, that came out today. All right, so I think that you've made your points. All of us will go back. Sir.
Good afternoon. My name's Joe Mayo. I own Remax on Long Beach Island, and I've been in real estate down here since 1979. The point that was made earlier, that a segment of the ownership is picking up the entire burden of this deficit. In reality, it's every owner's. There's year-round owners, there's snowbirds, there's vacation homeowners, there's part personal, some rental, and then there's some that are strictly rental. Okay? Why are we segmenting who is responsible for the deficit on the town? And one point that no one mentioned is, what will this do to the value? Now, I don't have the percentages, but do 40% of the people rent? 40% of the buyers need to rent to buy? So when you take that large of a segment out of the marketplace, it will affect every value of the property in Ship Island. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Dugan, 335 West 5th Street in Ship Bottom. A couple things. One is that I've been renting my house in the summertime for the past 20 years. Never had one complaint, be it a noise complaint, trash, or any other thing that the police have to come to my house. In my lease, it says that the police come and there's a complaint, the lease is void, you're out. I don't want to tolerate that either. But this ordinance that you guys put forward was not well thought out. There's a lot of questions that couldn't be answered. When I asked the questions, nobody knew. Nobody knew the answers. So I think you should go back to the drawing board and start fresh on a clean sheet of paper and try to decide what you guys really need to do. And I'd like to see a show of hands here. Does anybody here have a rental property in Ship Bottom? Does anybody rent? That's on council? No. 0 hands. 0 hands. I also did an open request for the amount of complaints, noise complaints in Ship Bottom. And there was a total of 77. Through February through October. From September, May through September, there was 67. Okay? Out of that 67, there was 3 properties that popped up multiple times. One that had 12 complaints, one that had 7 complaints, one that had 7 complaints. All of the rest of them, it was 1 or 2, and that was it. Never called again in the whole year. So them saying that there's an animal house going on in this town is irrelevant. Irrelevant. Based on the numbers that you guys and the information that you provided me,
It's not there.
If you live,
Sir,
if you live next to one of the houses, it is relevant.
Well, then somebody should hold them to the ordinance and first punch the violation. It's not here. It's not here.
If your rental continues, you won't be involved with that part of the ordinance, which, by the way, was already rejected.
Oh, you say it's rejected. You guys are coming back in January to put whatever spin you want to put on it, and maybe take some stuff out of it. But there's a lot of stuff that you're going to leave in there. And the town is not, the people of the town that rent their houses do not want this to go through. And look how many people are here today. And it would have been more if it wasn't on a 2:30 on a Friday.
So we understand that, but you have to understand the other side of this and what we're looking at. Okay, so you live next to one of those that have a lot of violations, okay, let's say, and you put a complaint in, maybe a ticket's issued, okay? So it's Monday, a ticket's issued, and then maybe the homeowner goes and pays it, or maybe they push it off to October through the courts, and now you're the neighbor in Tuesday night. The same thing happens again.
Well, the numbers don't show that based on the amount of...
The system doesn't work by just ticketing people, because some people say, well, you know, I made 80 grand this month, I don't care if I pay them out.
Raise the fines.
We need a better system. Listen, there's a few bad apples. We need a better system to hold them accountable to where they may lose something rather than just to pay a few bucks to get out of it.
If everybody can just keep it down, please.
And I say put something in the lease that they can terminate the lease if the police are called and somebody is given a ticket, for sure. I'm all for that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Jillian Robinson, 1607 Central, in Ship Bottom. I believe, to go back to what a few other people said, is that if nothing else, what we were trying to ask you is to say that you stood here and said that you admitted that what was introduced and the way it was introduced was not the right way to do it, and you wouldn't do it again. And then you said, by the way, we're gonna throw 3% at you and we're gonna vote on it in 10 days or 11 days, which is exactly what you said you weren't gonna do 20 minutes earlier. And the base premise of that is to just say, could you agree to say, instead of this 3% and you're voting on it in 11 days, to just agree to push everything until you have the time to actually do the research and sit down. When somebody asks you what's the percentage and you don't even know how to calculate a percentage, and that's your answer, that's not the way to find how to fix a budget. And all we're asking is to say, will you listen to the taxpayers and listen to the people and just take some time instead of saying, we're never going to do it this way again, but we're going to vote on it in 11 days and force something through, or try to force something through in 11 days when nobody has the time over Christmas break to sit there and actually review this stuff, is to just get feedback from the people in the town and look at other people that have different backgrounds, different experiences, and different ways to help fix the budget. Nobody in this town, in this area, wants the right people to succeed and fix the problems here as much as I do. And I am very passionate about wanting to support the right people here in this town. And there's plenty of people here who also know that. And to try to do something the wrong way and just say, we'll never do it that way again, and then turn around 20 minutes later and introduce something new and say that you're going to try to force a vote on it in 11 days and refuse to just say, we agree to push everything until the new year, which is what was put out of what the goal of this meeting was, to just table everything until the new year. There was nothing that was said ahead of time that something new was going to be introduced today. So all I think some people have also brought up is to just say, can you agree to just table everything until the new year and take the time to actually think about stuff instead of trying to force something through in 11 days?
speaking on behalf of the Taxpayers Association, which I'm the vice president of, and myself. Just wondering, how much is the deficit projected to be in 2026? And how much revenue will this new tax under ordinance 2025-10C will bring in? So maybe that needs to be looked at, or anticipated bringing in. And anyone answer that?
What's the answer to that?
There is no deficit. The budget has not been set yet. So here's the deal. The 3% is going to have people that, it's a matter of fairness. 300 rentals are using more, generating much more garbage, much more need for police, fire, there's paying their fair share. So I have a neighbor. Sorry?
Please, one at a time.
I have a neighbor, family of 4, and they come down a couple weeks in the summer, rent the rest of the time. When they're down, their garbage can is full, and their recycles is half full. When they rent, there's 6 cans overflowing. These houses are generating way more than
So maybe we can ask for
homes.
a
It's
rebate.
just a matter of fairness to pay your fair share. That's all.
Okay,
So
I
it's
get
just
Sorry.
Okay.
Then maybe a
Excuse me,
suggestion.
1 minute, okay? We have been very respectful for everybody that's up here. Please respect us. Listen to the person who has to say. If you disagree with it, fine. But one person talk at a time, okay?
Understood.
All right, I'm not saying to you, I'm just telling everybody, okay? That's the way we get through this. You listen to what the people say, and we listen to what you say, okay?
Got it. So my original question was about the deficit of 2026 and then how much revenue do you anticipate this new tax bringing on? So that was my question. In answer though to Tom's statement about the garbage, well, you know, in the winter, there's like no garbage. I mean, you know, so maybe we kind of can negotiate with Roselli, you know, whatever, I don't know. So if you're saying, are they charging us more for those 4 cans that are being taken up? I don't know.
Tremendously more, okay? Would you?
But you don't,
What's the number?
So to be clear,
One at a time.
in 2025, in order to get the budget that everybody wanted, all the things that you all wanted in the budget, and all the things that you wanted around town, the concerts, all those things, excuse me, I presented a budget to our auditor, we ran the numbers, and he said to me that's an 8-cent increase on the tax rate. You need to go back and cut out $885,000 from the budget to keep it at a 2 cents tax increase. That's exactly what I did. Now fast forward to this year, and in order for us to stay within that budget, we had to cut police overtime, we had to cut DPW, staffing, and overtime in order to be able to keep the numbers within the 2% cap that the state of New Jersey puts us in. Health insurance for 2026, which is next year's budget, which I'm working on now, went up 36.5%. That is from the state of New Jersey. Contract increases, including the shared service agreements we have with other towns, because they have their own union contracts that they've negotiated, and that goes towards our shared service agreements. Garbage contract from the last contract to this contract that we are currently in went up 64.77%, or just under $894,000. That's a lot of money for garbage and recycling. That to go back to what you said. What about the winter months when you don't have as much garbage? Well, prior to the difference in the demographics here, we still had winter months where there wasn't that many people. So in the summer there is an influx, and how that affects the garbage is by tipping fees. You can't contract for tipping fees. That's something that is set by the Ocean County landfill, and it's weighed, I'm assuming it comes out of the state, on how much they can charge per ton when it gets there. Other things to consider is if somebody puts something in the recycle can that isn't recycling, and that truck of recycling gets to the landfill, and they see you have something in there, that the whole truck gets turned around, and then it becomes tipping fees at the landfill. All those things play into what my concern is going into next year. And how are we going to come up with that money? And I don't mean, I'm not being disrespectful to anybody here, because I do hear what your concerns are, and one way to do that was this 3% tax on the use, for the people who are using the services. As Councilman Talon mentioned, similar to beach badges. People who use the beach, generate stuff on the beach, the lifeguards and all that, is covered by a beach badge fee. So instead of us taxing our residents who live here and own homes here and raise their taxes on their home, why would you not want to have the people who are using the services pay for that service? I'm not looking for a yes or no answer. You all have spoken. I've heard everything you said, as has the entire governing body. We read every letter that was sent in, every email that was sent in, every notice, every phone call, every meeting. We've read it all. We understand your concerns, but I have a budget that needs to get balanced. And just like at your home, all your home expenses have gone up. There isn't anybody here that can tell me they haven't. But you're talking about a much larger level of expenditures that need to be met. And instead of burdening everybody with a tax that only certain people are using, that was the thought process behind this. Obviously, you're not happy with it. That's been made perfectly clear. Mr. Cohen will call on you in just a moment. As far as the complaints with, the chief of police is not here. He couldn't be here today, but that is a concern for him also. But I want to be perfectly clear in the fact that as of right minute, we don't have a deficit in our budget. I have to find revenues in order to cover what the expenditures are going into the 26 budget when I have massive increases. That is my concern as your CFO.
Thank you. Do we know an anticipated amount that 3% is going to bring?
Well, it all depends on what the outcome between Mr. Watlington and my solicitor's opinion is on who pays this tax. If everybody pays the tax, the estimated annual revenue would be around $994,000. If the numbers that I've been given are accurate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My name's Selena Parker. I live at 117 East 4th Street in Chicago. My question is for you.
My name is Kathleen Flanagan.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hello.
Not being rude or anything like that.
Not at all.
I've worked for a multi-billion-dollar company for 20 years, and I paid my own insurance every year. Why do we have to pay for your insurance?
Well, I do pay for my own insurance. I pay a percentage of it also based on Chapter 78 from the state of New Jersey. And we have contracts that have to be met, that was part of their contracts going forward. Is that something that can be considered for future years? Absolutely. Can it be changed for 2026? Absolutely not. We already have contracts in place that have been negotiated with the unions.
Okay, I was just curious.
But I will tell you this, since that was brought up. I look every single year to have our insurance coverage and the cost of insurance reduced. I did it this year, I'll do it again next year, and I'll do it every year as long as I have this title. Because health insurance is an astronomical expense, and if we can have it changed by going to anybody else, including self-insured, a joint insurance fund, and get out of the state of New Jersey, I would be very happy to do so.
I understand. I took Medicare over my job because it was cheaper for me to go on Medicare and secondary than to pay what I was paying through my job. Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up after this one.
How's everybody doing? My name is Steve Bennett. I live at 215 West 22nd Street. I'm a year-round Ship Bottom resident. I have a rental unit on my house. I feel that a lot of what, I'm sorry, what was your name?
I'm sorry. My name is Kathleen Flanagan.
Kathleen, I understand about the budget and things that are tight like that. And I understand that you guys need to meet it somehow. I do feel that this proposal is kind of subjecting it to just people who have rental properties now. I live here full time. I don't rent it out all the time. Only in the summertime, we have one unit, we rent it a little bit. And the budget deficit issues that you brought up, they're not, most of those are full resident, full people that own. Everybody who owns here should be paying for health insurance coverage. Everybody who lives here. Okay, so you have the garbage thing. I've rented my house for 10 years. I haven't had one complaint ever. I vet all of my people. I don't let people in that I feel aren't a good fit for our community. And I just want to say that is where I feel I'm nervous about that because, health insurance is going across the board. So if the people who have rental properties are the ones that are going to cover the health insurance, that's just going to continue to be the kind of
I'm very sorry, but I did not get your name.
Peter Bennett.
Mr. Bennett, I just want to be perfectly clear, because this word has been used a lot, deficit. At this minute, my budget going into 2026 does not have a deficit. I have expenses that need to get met, just like you have it, as you mentioned, and we are eternally grateful for responsible, reliable landlords and property owners like yourself. We welcome you. We just have to find some way to get through the difficult times that unfortunately some of the rentals have incurred expenses. That's what the purpose of the tax is. And again, it's not taxing those of you who own the property. And I do understand how you think it's going to negatively affect your ability to rent your property, and that it's been mentioned that it would negatively affect your value of the properties here. I can't speak to that, whether that would happen, because that's not my area. But it appears as though the property owners seem to think that they're the ones who have to pay the tax. And it isn't you.
Where my concern is some of these shortcomings that we might have in the future that you're trying to create more revenue for happen to be the total residents of Ship Bottom. It doesn't just fall on the people who have rental units. That's my point.
Okay. Your point is
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Susan Hughes, and I live at 305 West 5th Street in Ship Bottom, New Jersey. I am not a landlord or I don't own a rental property, but several members of my family do, and so I'm concerned about that. In addition, I just have some questions that haven't been brought up. So I just wanted to have maybe a rough estimate of the cost of this AI software that you all are considering since September, but only just brought up recently. There was an email that was distributed online, and so we do know that someone within Ship Bottom has been in contact with this company since September. So you should have some idea of how much it would be costing on an annual basis for the software.
Well, we did get one quote, did we? But you have to understand you have to understand we only quoted, I think, one. There's a number of these.
All right, what's the range?
So I heard around 15,000, was it?
Per year?
The company we spoke to, that we are not in contract with.
Right.
It's just somebody that we gathered information from on how this whole process works. And their estimate was $15,000.
And is that dynamic pricing, in that, you know, you buy, you increase your package, it costs more? I mean, so, you know, it includes, because it seems as if there's a lot of good things that that company may be providing as a service to help you with Oprah requests and things that, you know, streamline things that you all do on a weekly basis or regular basis that have nothing to do with short-term rentals. So that may be the basic plan, and then to upgrade to a more expensive plan for the short-term rentals may cost a little bit more or a lot more.
Well, just like every other contract we do, it would have to have an RFP, request for proposals, and we would get estimates from numerous companies. And because by the law in the state of New Jersey, you have to go with the lowest bidder, and that's what we would do.
Right.
If that was the avenue we were to take, we simply spoke to them to get an idea of how it worked, and what they do, and what they can provide, and honestly, to find out how much it costs, because that was all part of the process. And we have to know how much they're going to charge us to know whether it's worth it. At this time, we have made no decision to sign on with any contractor.
Well, I would implore you all, if you're all going to have some sort of a vote on December 30th, to have that information available to all of us.
And what the company, I can't
Just-
give you the name of a company that we're not going to go into contract
Okay,
with.
well, I mean, whatever ones have given you proposals would be great.
Okay.
You know, just so that we all have transparency on what we're voting for and why we need a certain amount of money next year to pay for certain bills. The other one is, I know the ordinance has been struck down, but I'm requesting some clarification about the part in the ordinance that stipulated primary residence. The owner had to be a primary resident, and that in order to prove primary residence, you had to submit a driver's license ID showing primary residence. And what is the purpose of that? What was the purpose of requiring the owner to be a primary resident in Ship Bottom? Does anyone have a reason for that?
It's in there. I don't even know if it's in there.
Are we discriminating against owners
Are you
of
speaking about the duplex or the whole package?
the whole package? Why would you require the owner of the rental to be a primary resident of Ship Bottom? Because that's what it says in the
There's a lot of
ordinance. So I need-
scammers.
What was that?
There's a lot of scammers around that say online they have a rental, you pay them money, and they don't own the home.
Okay, so if someone
So it's the
lived in
same.
if someone lived in Tuckerton and they own a property in Ship Bottom, they're a scammer?
No. All it would be asking for is to say, this person physically owns this home that they're renting. That they
It's not the
physically-
primary residence, obviously.
That has been shut down. That would
Okay,
be
thank
amended.
God, because
That would
that's
be amended.
really bad. Because there are people who own several properties.
And can you, I think that was one of the parts, the things that we talked
Yeah,
about.
the ordinance was reviewed recently again, as of course it would be in any event prior to the second reading. There were 3 or 4 revisions that were required. One of the revisions that would be required or would have been required had it receded, that would have been one of them. Yes.
Are we gonna know about what the other ones are before the 30th?
Well, no, there is this, you're discussing excuse me if I can answer the question. Your question relates to the ordinance that was just tabled / rejected.
Right.
Okay? That ordinance is not introduced, it doesn't exist anymore, it's gone.
Right.
If there is another ordinance that is introduced at some point next year, because it can't be on the 30th, then that ordinance would then be subject to public review and discussion.
So the ordinance that we're considering on the 30th regarding the 3%?
Does not include that. If you look at the ordinance that was rejected.
How would we know?
Well, no, that's a fair point, but the law does not require publication of an ordinance when it's introduced.
Right,
It
so I'm
doesn't require-
asking that it be provided on the 30th.
No.
Like beforehand, so that we can look at it, so that on the 30th, because you're voting on the 30th.
It will most certainly be provided
When?
as required. It will be uploaded
Tonight?
to the website tonight.
On the
It's-
website.
Yes.
So you've already discussed this.
But that provision and the provisions I referenced do not relate to the ordinance that was introduced today or this afternoon. They relate to the ordinance that was tabled.
Okay. And my final one is just talking about Ship Bottom. There are people who live in Ship Bottom that don't own rental properties, that have been living here for years. There are people who are second homeowners that don't live on Ship Bottom, the majority of the time, but do come in the summer months. And then there are the rental property owners that rent out in the summer times. There are a bunch, not just, it's not just either or. There's a whole bunch of people that you need to consider in this. The people who have second homes, whose first home is usually much bigger than the second home in Ship Bottom, they'll come down in the summertime and have and use the same resources and cause the same burdens as the renters do. They have big families. They bring dozens of people on the weekends to have parties, just like the renters do. Are you going to require those residents to also submit names and driver's license and age requirements? Can their kids come down? Their teenage kids come down. They're living up in Franklin Lakes. They let their kids come down and party on the weekends. Are you going to require those kids to also submit in advance, a week in advance of their day being there? Are there going to be car limits?
I understand what you're trying to say. That ordinance is gone.
Okay, perfect. I don't want to see anything like that on the next ordinance in January when you all are working on it. The other, right, I mean, because that was completely ill-conceived.
Okay.
I mean, the other thing, I don't rent, and I don't own, but I do live in a house with 4 adults, 2 young adults and 2 older adults. We all have cars. We all have cars. 4 adults, 4 cars. Thankfully, we have space in our parking lot, in our driveway for 4 cars. But are you to tell me that when my boyfriend comes over and my son's girlfriend comes over, they park on the street? They're allowed to park on the street, but my next door neighbor who rents is not allowed to have their renters park on the street? Okay, I expect that to not show up either, because that's ill-conceived. It's ridiculous.
Ran out of batteries.
That was it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council members. My name is Joyce Luback. I live at 305 West 5th Street, Ship Bottom. I'm going to be brief. I object to this 3% tax. I think it's unlawful, and I think it's evasive, and it's also prying my personal, my money. I have to report to the borough, tell them how much money I'm making in a rental house, and I object to that. I think that's an invasion of privacy, and I object firmly on that. Collect your 3% from somebody else. Use your garbage. I pay taxes. I have 2 rentals plus my own house. I'm a voter, and I also have a primary residence. I pay taxes 12 months on. I pay 36 months taxes on these 3 homes. I don't get a break. The garbage, they come only 3 months. 3 months out of my 2 rentals. At 6 months they come. And I'm supposed to say, oh, well, the renters are making more garbage. It's not true. It's only 3 months out of a year, and if the sanitation can't hold that for 3 months, then get another one. Make it 3 times a week, and then I only get my garbage comes once a week, and my recycle is twice a week. I live there all year round. This is like 50 years when people never even lived there around. It was only a vacation home. These laws are still in effect that I only get the garbage once a week, and I'm paying taxes for 12 months on both my rentals, and I will not give. And coming back to the 3%, I went away from that. I have to put I have to tell you how much I make. I'm not going to do it. I don't care. You can arrest me. I'm not going to tell you how much money I get. I think it's an invasion of privacy.
Good afternoon, Mary Larry, East 4th Street, Chicago. I have a question and a follow-up. Could someone tell me, could you repeat the ordinance that's been proposed, the 3% tax? What is the wording on that?
You mean the title?
No, the ordinance that the mayor gave and was seconded. Can you tell me what that is is not on the...
Well, it was introduced by title only.
By title only. So the information is not yet released. Okay, just making sure I understand that. So my second question is, listening to who would be affected by this, it's a very small number of short-term rentals, only those on the marketplace, correct? How are you going to monitor who is renting through the marketplace and how much income is projected from that tax on those rentals? And will it do anything for the potential increase in the budget?
I did already answer that, but I'm happy to answer it.
Please, I'm sorry, a lot going on.
Okay, let's start with your first question, which was how much the 3% rental income.
Right.
As we stated, or as I stated previously, if all the properties that we are aware of right now pay the 3% tax, it's $994,000.
But isn't all of those rentals all rentals, not just those short-term rentals through a marketplace?
This is only short-term that we looked into. We did not look into year-round rentals. We did not look.
I understand that. I'm saying
short-term
that
rentals only.
you all mentioned that the short-term rentals that were privately done or through LBI, that was not part of this potential tax.
To be clear, we did not say rentals through VRLBI was not included. Mr. Watlington said that, but we did not.
I see. All right, and that potential 900,000, et cetera, would be enough to take care of the shortfall potential in 26.
The potential shortfall that we don't know that is there for the increases that are expected on the items I mentioned previously. Would that offset all of it? I would imagine so, but I can't anticipate it until it starts coming in. I don't know what that exact number is going to be. And as Mr. McGee had mentioned, there's a process that has to go through the state of New Jersey for the approval, so I don't actually have an exact date of when that state is going to give their approvals to have it go into effect.
Okay, my last question is how will you identify and enforce that those taxes are paid?
There is a company that you can hire, or we would have somebody in-house do that. A lot of it is, just like you mentioned, going on site, seeing how much they charge. There's a process that goes
So
into
you would have to maybe hire another employee for the township to monitor that and to
We have somebody, and just like we do every year, we would hire a seasonal person to help us if necessary. Again, we don't know until it gets started.
Okay, and would their potential salary be more than the potential tax intake, or not? Like additional? You can't. I understand.
Hypothetical in the future. What if this? What if that?
Well, I'm just saying that how we do 3% is the
What if
right
it
number.
doesn't pass next meeting,
Right.
which is likely, and then this is all for naught?
Well, I think it's been very helpful and enlightening to hear everybody's comments and opinions.
Well, it certainly helped us because we want your comments and opinions.
Awesome.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, here.
Yes, sir. This is the new one?
Yeah.
Are you giving this to me?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wait, I am currently printing out 50 ordinances, so when you leave, they'll be ready, so you can take them with you.
Mayor, you have somebody else who'd like to speak?
Just one question. Sharon Duty, 335 West Fifth Street, Chicago. What type of information are you looking to gather when you're using this AI firm that you're, these AI firms that you're looking to hire? What information are you hoping to get?
Okay, I need to be really clear on these AI firms that you guys keep referencing. We have literally just spoke to somebody to see how the process works. At no time did we agree to hire anybody, or is that something
I
we're
didn't say
going
hire,
to
I
do?
said I want to know what kind of information you're looking to get from them.
Wait, it's my understanding that what they do is they go out and search all of the sites that people could advertise on. They find out and do an analysis on how much is charged, and they then feed the information to us. They would let us know how much it was supposed to be.
So the information that you want to gather is what?
What I want to get out of
Yes, what information are you looking to get from these people? You told me what they do, but I don't know what information you want from them. I'm asking what are you looking to get from these people?
Oh, if they're renting and how much they rent it for and what.
So you're looking to spy on everybody to find out how
Well,
much.
now see, you're putting those words in there. It's not spy. We're not spy. It's not spy.
What is
okay?
it?
Okay.
What do you call it?
Well, we have to find out some way, okay?
Let him find out some way. What do you want to find out about me? I want to know what information.
I don't want to know
find out about
anything
me.
if
Well, I'm a
we.
renter, so what are you going to do? I'm going to be coming up on your AI search. What would you like to find out about?
You'll be, okay.
I'm a landlord, I'm sorry.
Landlord, okay.
What information are you looking to get from these people?
We want to know how much did you rent it.
How much money I'm giving, I'm collecting, correct? You mentioned I was speaking, you want to know how much money I'm getting, right?
Yes.
You said that, what else?
Well, I think that would be on your site.
Well, why would you, you want to know how much I'm making, what else would you like to know?
Mayor, if I may. The AI, my understanding is the AI would be used just to identify which of the.
You're going to use it for, not the AI, you're going to use this for what?
Correct. We would identify which of the rental properties fit within the framework of the state law and the ordinance, and then the listings, and then the rent that was asked. All that is there is to determine whether or not there's a property for rent on one of these transient marketplaces that's defined under the law, and that was put up for rent.
Why do you need to know how much I'm getting?
That would relate to the tax. If we don't, the state's going.
The state's going to collect it, what do you need to know for?
It's
I'm
not.
not understanding the process. You don't need to know, do you? The state needs to know.
Well, but to be clear, if it's on a transient rental marketplace, it's public knowledge anyway.
Okay.
And someone previously stated, well, why can't we use AI for different tasks for municipal services, et cetera? All this is doing is giving AI the ability, or having AI or tasking AI to do something that we can have any employee in the borough to do his or herself, which is to look on each marketplace that is subject to the law and determine where it's listed. It's public information. It was put out there by the owner, and it is on a public website. There's no other information that the AI would be tasked to do. It can't get any more information. It's going to get the information that are on these marketplaces. That's it, which is public information.
Why you would need that information.
It's to the borough, under the state law, is required to provide annually a list of the properties and the addresses of the properties that it believes are subject to the tax on short-term rentals.
And they will provide them with my income that I've gotten.
There's no income being provided. All we do is provide a list of the properties that are actually.
You're going to search how much I'm charging for these homes, and then.
Which is a search that any human being right now in the borough or on LBI or the county or the state could conduct his or herself.
Does anybody here want to know personally what I'm renting? Why would they want to know that?
It's a question, the state, whether we secure that or the state does, the state's going to secure it because the state wants to know how much money, if you are subject to the ordinance, that you're paying the correct amount of taxes. It's a public record.
Well, I was searching for what I'm renting. For some reason, you need to have that information, that's fine. My other thing is I just want to support what Ms. Hughes said about this
ordinance shall get into play. They had us come here thinking that you were going to vote down this ordinance, and then you turn around and reintroduce one. So I'm wondering what's going to be under the next shell when we come here on December 30th, or if it's going to be, if the ball's going to be there, or if there's not going to be anything underneath there. Because like they said, you had said that this was over, and it's really not over. So I think this was something just to placate people, to get them to come out here and air their grievances with this ordinance, just to turn around and say, well, we're going to do something anyway. That's just what I wanted to get.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
I have a little follow-up. So, my name's Elaine Durning, and I own a home at 25th Street, 124 East 25th Street. I have a follow-up. I keep getting confused back and forth about about the 3% tax. The borough gets a 3% in addition to the state. Is that correct?
No, that's incorrect. It's processed through the state. It gets paid to the state returns it to the borough.
Okay, that's good. But when you're talking about having whoever or whatever analyze public information on a marketplace, that information cannot be analyzed to an accurate degree of what is being rented. I used to use a marketplace. You could have your house rented out on the marketplace, say for 3 months. And the rent could go anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000, depending on the time of year. Until you negotiate with that potential tenant, no one knows what you're charging. So the only person that knows is the person renting out the home and the person paying the price. So an analysis by AI or anybody else is totally off kilter. They will not get, because if you just look, like you said, it's public information, go on a website and pick out any address, and if it's for rent, it's going to give you so many variables, depending on number of people, depending on time of year, depending on verbiage between the two parties. So that seems insanity, that would even be contemplated to use.
To be clear, and I'm repeating Kathleen Flanagan's statement, we don't have a contract. There's only been exploration in terms of investigating what AI could do. And as I stated earlier in the meeting, the state law is that the state is in charge of enforcing and collecting the tax, not this borough. This borough doesn't have that power.
Right. Okay. Then how is even that $994,000 additional revenue figure being computed if nobody has looked at what the rental properties on the marketplace are? That's a question.
Again, as I stated, I'm sorry, hang on. As I stated previously, it's based off of an average rental, and I didn't have exact numbers. That was based off of an average rental home for 340 units for 13 weeks out of the year.
What was the average rental income?
Nobody rents 13 weeks.
And yeah, 13 weeks. I don't know where that's coming from either.
Well, the 13 weeks is the season.
It is not if you are a landlord.
I'm not, but...
Right, so I'm telling you.
But that's what it's based on. We consider
Well,
the
it shouldn't
season
be. So the estimated revenue figure is definitely off. And if, just as a layperson, reading the state transient law on tax, vacation rental, LBI, is clearly exempt. So this 3% that we're all here about, well, we're here about all the other things too, owner-occupied, but it seems the looks on people's faces up there didn't even know about. That would have definitely wiped out the rental industry here, because most rentals are not owner-occupied. I know it's been tabled, good. But we go back to, if this is all about money, I'm frustrated, disappointed, and scared that the decisions that are being made, and to just now have to read a new ordinance, that a lot of what we're talking about might not even be addressed if we were just notified in advance. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has driven over 2 hours to get here to this meeting, and then again will be subjected to that timeline on December 30th, to then, like somebody else was saying, what's under the next nut? Who the heck knows? I'm just very disappointed and frustrated that this couldn't have been settled last night online or even be identified to anybody. I mean, I personally called about this meeting yesterday, asked specific questions, and none of this came up, that this was going to be possibly tabled and a new ordinance be presented. Disappointed.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Daniel Platt. I live at 330 West 19th Street, and I am proud to be a full-time permanent resident here in Ship Bottom. I love it down here. I'm also equally proud to be a short-term rental property owner. And tonight we've had probably over 100 people in this room that come and go, and I think all of them have brought up concerns and complaints about this proposed new ordinance that you tabled tonight. I'd like to take a little bit different tact and offer my assistance, my expertise, my 2 cents, so to speak. I have a background in real estate activity. I have a background in business activity. And also, I have the perspective of being not only a resident here, but also an investor here. I came here tonight and with my intentions of asking this council for 3 things. Number 1, I was going to ask for 2025-09C to be tabled. Thank you very much, you've done that. I think that was wise, and you can go back now and revisit that and make it better. I would also now like to add and ask for that you vote tonight to table the newly introduced ordinance 2025-10C. Again, it would be wise to table that now, revisit it, rework it, revise it, give everybody a chance to digest it and figure it out. So, number 1 reason for coming here. The second reason I came here tonight was to ask that the council put together a committee to review this ordinance, proposed ordinance on short-term rental properties, and try to hammer out or craft something that's good for all of us, the town, the residents, investors, everybody, visitors, renters, homeowners, across the board. If you can put a committee together, or a task force, or whatever you want to call it, I would be absolutely happy to put my 2 cents in on that if you would like my input. Again, the most important part I can add to a committee like that would be that I have the perspective of, again, being a homeowner, so I care about our town and how it goes, and also being a short-term rental property owner. So both of those things I can provide some perspective. The number 3 reason I came here tonight was to request that if and when there is a final version of the short-term rental property ordinance proposed and ultimately passed, whatever that final version is, that you don't implement it until January 1st, 2027. And if you think about it, that gives us all a chance to craft a proper ordinance that will go into January, February, March, get it adopted, and get everybody up to speed on whatever that is. And like many people brought up here tonight, there's a lot of bookings that have already taken place for next season, the 2026 season. So by implementing whatever that version is, starting January 1st, 2027, again, it would give everybody an opportunity to figure this all out and not have to go back to our existing bookings, our contracts, and try to redo them, which we really can't anyway. So again, I'm here for your assistance if you so desire. I'll linger around here for a few minutes after the meeting if you want to talk to me. And I think I know most of you, you know where I live, you can figure out how to reach me. So with that, I thank you all for being good stewards of Ship Bottom and your time and efforts. I appreciate you listening to all of us here tonight, and Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Diana Castle, 330 West 19th Street in Ship Bottom. I am a full-time homeowner, also a rental owner. My question to you, and you don't have to answer it, but I want you to think about it. What is the identity of Ship Bottom? It's the place that everyone goes to as soon as they get over their bridge. You call yourselves the gateway to Long Beach Island. What are you trying to be to all the people that come? Are you trying to be business friendly? Are you trying to be friendly to the tourists? I see a lot of businesses going away. Are you trying to have renters? Right now you have an awful lot of unhappy rental owners and other possible homeowners. Look at what are you trying to achieve other than trying to, fix the revenue, and I don't want to say deficit. Are you trying to be more like Beach Haven, where it's a place where everybody stays and everybody goes not just to the amusement park, to all the restaurants around town? Is that what you're trying to achieve? They have a lot of renters there. That's how they're staying in business. Are you trying to be more like Long Beach Township or say Surf City, where everything on the boulevard in Surf City is being turned into homes? Obviously, people that come as renters are not going to want to stay where they can't go out to eat and go play miniature golf and everything. I think you want to keep the businesses in town, including the rental owners who are business owners. So I'm just having you think about that. And also, too, one of the first things I thought of when I heard about this ordinance, instead of being the gateway to LBI, it sounded like you wanted to be the pathway to the rest of LBI.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see any more hands, so I just want to bring something up, okay? I want to bring something up that's very important, and this comes from me and the town and also the state and county, because this is real important, okay? There is a law that says that your fire extinguishers and carbon monoxide have to be inspected, okay? It's a state law. 82 of, I'm going to say you, but 82 of the people that are renters in this town have, and it's only for $35, have not complied. I don't want to be the mayor that has something happen and someone killed or hurt because of that situation and have to answer why it wasn't inspected. Okay, we need you to do the job. The $35 is not that much, and I know your insurance companies and things like that really need you to do it. So please comply with that with the state. I mean, with the county. Okay, and if you have trouble with the county, let us know. Okay. I just wanted to get that point across. Yes, sir.
One correction, it's 45, and I have had exceptionally good relationships with more than one fire marshal from the Ocean County Fire Marshal's office, a gentleman, a lady, and I I can't remember the third person. We get it done every year, it's 45, and they are very wonderful. There's no excuse for that not being accomplished. So that alone, you'll get 100% support.
Yeah, I think we both agree. Okay, thank you. All right.
Excuse me, sir. I got mine done this morning. I passed third year in a row, but they're the most pleasant people going. But there's also like over 2,000 houses that aren't gone through by any public official on a yearly basis, and some of them, if they haven't sold, nobody has walked through those houses in generations. And you're worried about the safety of the people here and the renters. If a house doesn't get sold, there's no inspection for decades. You said you're worried about someone not putting batteries in a smoke detector. If the house doesn't get sold, nobody goes through the house for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. So, but we have to get one every year.
Well, yes, you do, and that's the law.
I do,
I'm
that's
just
the law, I do.
I'm just telling you that's the law.
But if you're concerned about safety, how about the over 2,000 houses
okay,
that
but
we're just being singled out, that's all.
Well, the thing is, you're putting other people in jeopardy. If you put your own family in jeopardy and you don't care about your wife and children, that's on you. You can't be jeopardizing renters.
That's your problem.
We need to close public portion and shut the meeting down.
Okay, I'm gonna end. Can we have order, please? Can we have order? I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The public portion is now closed.
We have copies.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. I need a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You want me to hand them out? No.